All right, so I've been out here making some sawdust with this new 10-inch spiral head Wahuda Jointer, and I'm going to answer that question that you're thinking. Can you really accomplish anything with a 10-inch benchtop jointer? And that's what we're going to find out today. Now, before we go any further, I do want to let you know that I did pay full price for this. This is not sponsored or anything like that. I just decided to make this piece of content for those of you who are maybe on the fence about buying a jointer, especially a benchtop jointer like this, and you want to know how this one performs. Now, before we go any further, remember that a benchtop jointer is not the same thing as a full-size jointer. Despite the fact that you have these supports that we'll talk about here in just a couple of minutes, a benchtop jointer is a smaller jointer for smaller projects, and we'll talk about that a little bit later and see what some of the limitations and sizes really are. So with that out of the way, let's jump in and check this thing out. All right, I took some notes here, so let's start off. Number one, it does have a cost of $649.99, at least on Amazon. The dimensions of the table are 9 7/8 inches, so not an honest 10 inches. And the length is just over 30.5 inches. So if you frequently make tables, large coffee tables, end tables, anything that requires the jointing of long boards, this may actually not be for you. But if you do smaller projects, then a desktop jointer may be something that works for you in your shop. Now, the table is cast iron. That's great, so it's nice and durable. You'll notice right here that it has started to discolor a little bit. I need to clean that off so it doesn't rust, but being a cast iron table, that's one of the disadvantages of that. But the cast iron means it's going to be a solid surface that's going to last. Next, it does have these pull-out slides. And once these slides are all the way out, you have a length of just over 53 inches. Now, does that mean that this jointer really has a 53-inch bed? That's not really what these supports mean. These supports really only allow the wood to be supported a little bit better so that you can control it. They're not really going to give you a flat surface and give you the ability to automatically joint really long boards. Now, that said, you may be able to calibrate them and get them nice and even so that you can actually use them to extend your bed, but that's not what they're designed for. Now, and one of my favorite features is the fact that it does have a helical head. And one of the great advantages of that is the fact that if you need to replace a blade, you don't have to replace the entire blade. It's got these small blades right here, and these blades actually have 4 sharp sides. So as these start to wear out, as one side wears out, you just unscrew it, turn it around, and you've actually got 4 uses out of it instead of just the one. Now, another nice feature is that you can actually angle this back fence to 45 degrees if you need to. I've never really had the need to do that, but it's nice to have that option. Now, one criticism that I've seen with this particular brand of jointer is that the fence, because it's aluminum, does tend to flex a little bit, but I'll be honest, it really doesn't. It seems to be pretty solid. Now, you will notice that it was shifting a little bit when I put a lot of pressure on it, and that's because it's screwed in here in the back. But if you get that down nice and tight, then you should be in good shape there. But keep that in mind. Next, you do have the ability to adjust the depth of this table. All that you have to do is unscrew this, and you can screw it way up or way down, depending on what you need. Now, one of my criticisms is the dust port. This does screw on there, and it's not sealed very tightly, not at all, really. You can actually see the sawdust right down underneath here, which means that if you don't have a really good dust collection system, like me, then dust can build up inside of there, and you will get it blowing out the back. When I first started using it, especially when I was face jointing, I would get a lot of dust that would blow out the back, but I cleaned out my dust collector and filter, and really it just turned out that my filter was really clogged up. So once I've done that, it's actually done a much better job of getting rid of the dust, even if you are face jointing. But if you're face jointing a 10-inch wide board, you're putting out a lot of sawdust. So you've got to be aware of that. Okay, so with that, let's fire it up and see how it does. Now, before you go criticizing me, one thing that I will tell you that I very quickly realized is that working with a jointer really is an art. It's not like a table saw or a miter saw where you just push, make the cut, you're good to go. There really is an art and a science to getting good results with a jointer, and I'm still working on improving that technique. Now, face jointing can be especially dangerous because when you're face jointing, this guard is out of the way. And as you're pushing it through, especially when you get to the end, this blade is going to be exposed. So be incredibly careful, especially when you're face jointing. You don't typically see as much of a problem with that when you're edge jointing because the guard is still covering up the majority of the blade with only that little bit back there exposed. But face jointing, you definitely want to make sure that you're watching that blade and keeping your hands, your arms, your clothing out of the way. So what are my takeaways about this particular jointer? First of all, I love the fact that it's affordable, it's portable, and if you have a small shop, then a benchtop jointer can be a great tool for your wood shop. I like the fact that it has the supports there to give you a little bit of extra support so you can work with a little bit longer boards without having to set up additional supports out there. And the biggest thing that I love about it is that it really can face joint 10-inch boards. I work with a lot of maple and walnut, which are very hard woods, and it's never bogged down on me in the least. So I do like that. Okay, what are the drawbacks and what are kind of my criticisms of it? Number one, this aluminum fence, I'd like for it to be a little bit more solid. But if anybody uses a Grizzly or anything like that that has a cast iron fence on it, that's going to be a lot better. Number two, it does put out some dust, especially when it's face jointing. Now, I'm not going to overly criticize the jointer for that because, as you saw, I don't have great dust collection, and substandard dust collection could actually be contributing to that. And finally, it does come with these two push blocks, and I'm not a huge fan of these. They're fine. They do pretty good. But what I would really like to have is at least one push block that has a little lip on the back so it can help me push it through. These, I just have to push from the top. So I'd prefer a different type of a push block. I am going to put a link down in the description below for a push block that actually does have a little lip on the back that will help you actually push through if that's something that you're interested in. So check down below. So thanks for sticking around until the end. And if you like these types of non-sponsored tool reviews, check out this review right up here of my DeWalt miter saw. Again, it's not sponsored. I just tell you what I like and don't like about this particular tool. And if you think I deserve it, I would love to have your subscription. So hit that subscribe button down below.